It's episode 81. Tires are what win a race and give the people what they want. I hope you guys are ready to get dirty.
This week in dirt racing history, we're going to go back to May 8th of 2004 at the Fremont Speedway, the track action built. For the All-Star Circuit of Champions, we've seen the lowrider Dale Blaney pick up the win, Lee Jacobs in second, and Bill Rose in third.
Let me talk to you!
So this week, we just seen, Josh, that Connor Morrell and Bill Rose Racing part ways. It seems like Connor Morrell's got his own deal going on. He's still going to remain full-time for the World of Outlaws, so that's good to see. Also, Scotty Thiel has been let go from Greg Wheeler Motorsports in the 16C.
Skylar Gee will climb aboard the Greg Wheeler Motorsports 16C for the rest of the season of 2026 with the World of Outlaws. So we talked there earlier about Scotty Thiel getting let go and Skylar Gee jumping in the 16C with Greg Wheeler Motorsports. Yeah, silly season seems to start earlier and earlier, and it's already starting here. Scotty Thiel, I know he'll be out there wheeling and dealing, and Connor Morrell, like you said, he's already got something going to continue running with the Outlaws. So it'll be good to see those guys at the track, and I'm sure those will not be the last dominoes to fall. Moving on, Shannon Babb penalized for a bad tire sample, but the penalty wasn't as harsh as in the past. Babb would post about the matter and say,
Those tires are matched, perfect, and staggered spectrum.
He didn't say that. Babb would post about the matter and say the World of Outlaws ruling on the tire sample taken for Saturday night's Illini 100 at Farmer City Raceway is unfortunate to say the least. The tire was a National Late Model 2 that we purchased from the tire truck at Farmer City Raceway on Saturday, April 11th. We cleaned our tire with a degreaser and wiped it off to remove the factory mold release coating from the tire. If we would have washed it off and not wiped it off, it would have been okay. This resulted in the tire not meeting the benchmark. We were honest with the World of Outlaws on the degreaser used to clean the tire, and the test results that came back confirmed the components of that degreaser. We have always raced with integrity and take pride in how we present our racing team and represent our sponsors. We accept the penalty, respect the rules, and hope the sanctioning bodies continue to follow their policies and rules for all dirt late model competitors. Shannon Babb Racing will have no further comment on this matter, and we're looking forward to continuing our 2026 racing season. So I think it's cool that he comes out with the post. I think it's cool that they come out and said, this is what happened, and according to the lab, that's what happened. So it's odd. I mean, if they would have washed it off, it wouldn't have been an issue, which tells me that it's not a problem to use that. But I don't know, man. The tire thing is just, it's so weird. Was it a year or two ago where somebody was soaking their tire in a kiddie pool in the pit area? It's just, I don't know. And is it possible to control that? I don't think so. You don't have enough officials to walk around and keep tabs on that. What are your thoughts about the tire situation here?
Well, they're definitely doing their best. They're stripping money from drivers. You brought it up. I think it was last year at Volusia, or maybe the year before, where they got Bobby Pierce and quite a few others.
Yeah.
They have not been messing around with the tire rule. We even see it at Chili Bowl Nationals a lot now. And it seems like Shannon Babb and team is pretty much owning up to they might have, did it a little wrong there. And obviously they're accepting the penalty. So that's definitely good to see that they made the post about that. And it appears like if he would have played the game a little bit better, Josh, he might have got away with it.
Yeah, I don't know if it doesn't seem to me like that it's a big deal, because he talks about it and says, if we would have washed it off, it wouldn't have been been a problem. So he went to them and said, "Hey, this is the degreaser we used, which matched the components and the lab results." We didn't see anything that came out and said you can't use this degreaser on tires. So that makes me think more of, and the penalty compared to, like you were talking about Bobby Pearson on them, the penalty was not nearly as stiff as what it was there. Oh gosh, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, but yeah, it was a few years ago. I appreciate him coming out and being open and honest about this. It's interesting to see. There's always going to be guys playing in that gray area to try to find a little bit of speed, whether that's what they were doing here or not. I'm not necessarily suggesting that, but there's always going to be that. I just this tire thing is always going to be a thing. Guys are always going to keep trying to work in that gray area, whether they were doing that or not. If they would have simply washed it off, it didn't seem like the degreaser was that big of a deal because there wasn't a release that said, don't use this on your tires. I don't know. It's just interesting, but I'm with you. I think it's cool that they came out and were open about what took place. The Dirt Track Truck Series posted 4 cylinders versus V6 trucks, July 18th at Atomic, August 29th at Millstream, and October 3rd at Waynesfield. If you went back to last year, I did an interview with Joey Hader, and he talked about calling up a track to see if he could show up with his truck, and they let him. It sounds like a good time to me. I think it'd be cool to see the 4 cylinders and the trucks out there battling for a win. Our next point, $10,000 bonus if you win both races on May 12th and May 14th. The winner of the Special Attica and Fremont races, they could take home $50,000. 2 races, one at Attica, one at Fremont. If you win both, you get a $10,000 bonus. So both of those races are $20,000 to win for the sprints and a $10,000 bonus on top. I think there's a couple guys that have a good chance to walk away from Fremont with $50,000 in their hand. What do you think?
Cap Henry's the first to come.
Yep.
What, the defending series champion for AFCS. So yeah, that's definitely the first that comes to my mind. Yeah, it's going to be some good racing. I would like to get back to Fremont more, like I was saying, because I've only been there once, and that's when Cole Macedo, he got the win there, and he flipped after the start-finish line after he won. Yep. And now, yeah, definitely some good things going on in Attica and Fremont.
Yeah, no doubt there. Scott, some folks have talked about the Outlaws versus High Limit and how they enjoy the joint shows. You talked about Hoagie's Garage. I've caught some Hoagie's Garage here recently. Caught the one with JJ Hickle and really enjoyed that episode. And they talked about the Outlaws versus High Limit recently. I've also caught some other podcasts kind of having that same conversation. One of them in particular was talk about 5 to 6, possibly 5 to 6 races between the two. And I think that's too much. I think it's going to be much better if you do it once or twice a season, if it ever happens. I don't see that happening right now with the way the Outlaws are. But if it did, I would be more of a fan of them having 1 or 2 co-sanctioned shows in a season. And I think that's going to get the hype up. I think that's going to get people to travel. I think if you do 5 or 6, I think it takes away from the luster, and then it becomes a slippery slope, and you start adding more races, and then it doesn't mean anything. So I think it would be cool if they did a co-sanctioned event, maybe 1 or 2 in a season, and I've got a few tracks that I think they could run. What are your thoughts on this, EJ?
So yeah, like you said, keep it short and sweet. We all know the crown jewels of dirt racing. I think we just stick to that. Obviously, we know High Limit, they're free to do whatever they want, whereas the Outlaws, they're not able to do that. So they can only use 4 freebies a year, and there's only so much they're able to do. It was pretty cool there over the weekend when they canceled in Ohio that the Outlaws was able to lift that and allow their drivers to go other places. I think Sheldon went out to Knoxville and he got a 3rd place run.
Yep.
We seen Logan Schuhart out in Pennsylvania, I think. Garrett Williamson was in Knoxville. And yeah, there was a few others. It was cool to see the Outlaws do that because they usually don't do stuff like that. Like I said, we know our crown jewels, our Kings Royals, our Knoxville Nationals, our National Opens. So yeah, I just, and that makes me look forward to those races even more when you don't see these drivers all year long for the most part all together at one track.
Right.
So,
Yep.
and that just makes those crown jewels even better.
Yep. I couldn't have said it better myself. If they ever get to the point where they co-sanction an event, I say you do one or two. And if you do two, you do one towards the beginning of the season, one towards the end. Don't want to take away from any of the pomp and circumstance and do it the right way.
Yeah, and you also see there one of the biggest paying, I think it is the biggest paying race of the entire World of Outlaws season. They're the Houston High Bank Nationals. I think it's $350,000 this year. And then High Limits got one of their biggest races of the year out in Washington. I feel like maybe Skagit, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's part of, keeping it genuine and, sticking to our crown jewel events.
I drank a beer. I drank another beer. 3 beers. 4 beers. Oh, no.
All right, this week's racing recaps. A lot of rainouts this past week, Josh. It's pretty cold in a lot of places, too. We're going to go to April 29th at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. The start of the Dairyland Showdown for the World of Outlaw late models. We've seen Bobby Pierce with the win, Tyler Urban second, and Nick Hoffman in third. On April 30th, at Mississippi Thunder Speedway for the World of Outlaw late models, Bobby Pierce with the win again. Drake Troutman in second and Ryan Gustin in third. We go to Texas for the High Limit Sprint Cars Series. We've seen Kyle Larson pick up the win, Rico Abreu in second, and Aaron Reitzel in third. Some nice top tens for Hank Davis and Danny Sams the third. Hank Davis has been up there, man. I'm really surprised by his performance this year.
Yeah, he's been doing good in that 17 GP, and I know of Hank Davis just because of the results that I try to do, and in the past I'd seen his name quite a bit. I believe it was with ASCS, so he was usually up towards the top there, and he's doing good things running with High Limit here in 2026.
We go to May 1st, Circle City for the Lucas Oil late models. We've seen Ricky Thornton Jr. with the win, Hudson O'Neill in second, and Max Blair round out your podium. Looks like a really cool track out there in Indiana, Josh. Was you able to catch any of that?
Yeah, I saw some of it, and we talked about it. I think last week we talked about it. I hadn't had a chance to get there yet, and it's really maybe 2 hours from where I'm at. And watching some of the racing there, like, yeah, definitely need to check that one off.
They put on some good racing. We go over to Bloomington there on May 1st for the Larry Rice Classic for the USAC Sprints. Kyle Cummins picked up your win. Mitchell Moles in second. Jake Swanson round out your podium. We go to Mississippi Thunder Speedway with the World of Outlaw late models, with Nick Hoffman picking up your win, Ryan Gustin in second, Tyler Erb in third. Then we're going to go over to the Ohio Valley Speedway. And we've seen your SCDRA 4-cylinder feature, 1,000 to win, 100 to start the A main, Josh.
Nice.
We've seen Chris Wise pick up your win, Zach Keisner in second, and Jamie Harper in third. Your late models seen Tyler Carpenter pick up the win, Zach Milby in second, and Thomas Baker in third. With the modifieds, Nick Corbett with the win, Vince Conrad in second, and Kenny Johnson rounding out the podium. Then we're going to go to North Alabama for the USCS. We seen Morgan Turpin Havener with your win. Terry Gray in second, Jordan Mallett in third. Over to Sweet Springs for the Power Ride Midgets, Jacob Denny with the win. Carter Sarf in second place, up 20 spots, Josh.
Yeah, get that man a chicken dinner.
Yeah, and Cale Drake round out the podium there. US 36 for the Power Ride WAR Sprints. Wesley Smith with the win, Samuel Wagner in second, and Tom Curran in third. Over to Watsonville for the NARC Sprints, Justin Sanders with the win, Carson Macedo with the second place finish, and Caleb Montgomery rounds out your podium. Saturday, May 2nd at Brownstown, we got... For the late models, Tyler Kane picked up your victory. And second, Connor Mertens. And round out the podium, Zach Stalker. And your super stocks, Zach Sasser picked up the win. He was plus 10 in that, Josh.
Nice.
Lee Hobbs in second and Jeremy Helton in third.
Yeah,
For
some
the
names
pure-
we hear up top with those super stocks, and that was a super stock special there at Brownstown and the Scott Patman Memorial. So a couple names there up front on the podium that I've seen before, and I'm sure we'll see again.
Yeah, definitely some good runs there. We go to the pure stocks. Preston Carr picked up your win. Austin Hunter in second. He was plus 17 in that race. And then Josh Turner round out your podium. And the Hornets, Davey Wagner with the victory. Marshall Claycamp in second and Caleb Cottle in third. And for your Crown Vics, Eric Lewis picked up the victory. Dalton Fleener in second. Jesse Stewart Jr. in third.
Nice. Moving on. Eldora, my original plan was Montpelier, but you talked about it at the beginning. A lot of stuff got rained out. Montpelier was one of them. Lucky me. I got to go to Eldora, though. We got to Eldora. The family got to Eldora, and so did a lot of other people. It was cold out, but really until the sun went down, I told you this earlier, it wasn't hateful. The wind kind of died down, and I'll tell you what, track was in really good shape. We got there early and took it all in. You know, family fun night. They've got the cars up there behind turn 3 and 4. Drivers are passing out candy, signing autographs, taking pictures, all that good stuff before the festivities really get underway. But very good crowd for this event. You know, the USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets on hand, as well as modifieds and stock cars. And sitting there watching, actually, my brother-in-law Brian pointed out that it looks like they may have fixed that hole that was in turn 1. Now, I thought towards the end of the event, it was getting a little soft in one and it was starting to kind of come back, but it was nothing like we typically see there in turn 1. So that's a good thing if that's what happened and they got that taken care of. And, you know, the racing, it was good. So they did big group qualification / hot laps. And then instead of doing heat races, they did, oh gosh, I can't remember what they called them. But they didn't call them heat races, but essentially they were essentially heat races, but there was multiple, I don't know, 10 to 12 cars in each. It was good. And then, you know, I wasn't sure the way those went. I was like, the guys up front look pretty fast. This might get like single file, follow the leader. And really the feature races, especially up front, there were really good battles up there. You know, the USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets, they were side by side in 4 coming to the line. But in the end, the Ohio Hammer, Luke Hall, he was just too fast. Luke Hall would get the win. Bryce Massengale in second and Drew Rader in third. In the modifieds, they were 3 wide with 5 to go. Jonathan Taylor would end up with the win. John Scheider in second, and Jason Kinney in third in the stocks, side by side with 3 to go for the lead. Rob Trent would come away with the victory. Jeff Matheny in second, and Chad Poorman in third. Always good to get to Eldora, sitting on the concrete in turn 4 in our chairs, where we always end up. Got to the concession stand, got to the bar, even got a new T-shirt. I mean, what more can you ask for? Wasn't planning on being there.
Sure.
Glad got there. So they've got an Eldora camping shirt. They've got an Eldora camping shirt out. And so I had to snag one. I was looking at a different one, and then I saw the one that had Eldora camping on it, and I was like, yep, gotta get it. So
They got some nice ones.
yeah, add a shirt to the collection while I was there. Then, you know, they had the drone show and fireworks after, and it was definitely, it wasn't like the King's Royal. It was more kid friendly, but still same concept. And it was, oh gosh, I want to say it was probably like 9:45 by the time everything was completely wrapped up. So 9:45, traffic was a little tough to get out. 10:15, we were on the road. So good night there at Eldora Speedway, and glad to get there as soon as I didn't think I'd be there this soon. So glad to get a race in at the Big E.
Glad to hear it was packed out with you, Josh.
It was, I'm telling you what, I was surprised. We got there, and when I parked, the gates weren't open yet. It was 3:15, I think, and there was a line to get in the turn 4 gate. The line, if you're familiar, was backed up almost to where the camper is, where you could buy wood and things like that. Heck of a turnout there. Always a good time at Eldora. Glad we got that one in. Moving to Fairbury in the Falls Cup with late models, Jason Fager dominates. He gets the win. McKay Wenger in second, and Mike Spatolia in third. Florence, the 40th annual Ralph Latham Memorial with the Lucas Oil late models. Hudson O'Neill gets the win. Devin Moran in second, and Ricky Thornton Jr. in third. Hendry County with Top Gun Sprints. Tyler Clem with the win. Brandon Gruball in second, and Garrett Green in third. Knoxville in the 73rd season opener, and they packed it out. I think I saw something that said it was the biggest crowd in history for their weekly racing. So
I see the same thing.
I was hoping they would pack it out. Free grandstands, but hey, man, I don't care how you fill it up. If you fill it up, that's awesome. So the 73rd season opener at Knoxville in the 410s, Ryan Timms gets the win. He hadn't had a win since, I think, September of last year. And he had some big wins last year. And he went on a cold streak. But he gets the win there at Knoxville on Saturday night. Austin McCarl in second, and Sheldon Hodenshield rounds out the podium. Sheldon getting a nice third place there at Knoxville. Ryan Timms, you know, going back just a little bit, I think he's been on a pretty good run here, you know, and I will say I was one of those guys going into this season that was like, you know what, I think Timms should run with the national tour. And the season didn't start out the way they wanted it to. It's really starting to turn around now. I think they've had some really solid finishes here as of late. Obviously, getting the win there at Knoxville shows that, but it looks like they made the right decision not going national. You know, who knows what 27 brings? We're still early here into 2026. But it looks like they're getting things figured out there. And Ryan Timms gets the win in the 410s at Knoxville. In the 360s, Katie Higday gets the win. Cameron Martin in second, and Tasker Phillips would round out the podium.
And then we're going to go out to Midway, Josh. I just got there for my first ever time there in Crooksville, Ohio. So it was good to get there. My first take from it, I try to compare it to all the tracks I've been to, which is only 12, I think now, counting Midway. The closest one I can picture it being is Brush Creek. I don't know if you've ever been there before it closed. Brush Creek is kind of they've got a hillside where you're able to drive up on the hillside in your car, and Brush Creek was always no alcohol inside the gates, and that's where you would go if you want to drink or whatever. But it was kind of like that at Midway, except that they would sell alcohol and stuff, but it was like the entire front stretch was a hillside, and a lot of people just drive their cars up on the hill and parked and would build a fire beside their car, which was really nice that night because it was really cool out. So, the people would be sitting in their cars and stuff. There wasn't a lot of bleachers. I know where I sat the majority of the night, me and the boys sat back there in the pits, which was it was just one set of bleachers. It wasn't very big at all. Kind of like Atomic with their single set of bleachers there.
Yep.
The track was really nice considering the circumstances. I mean, it was really cool out, and plus they had a lot of rain. There was a lot of water in the infield, and it was just, good to see them at least get the race in. But I would definitely go back. And yeah, man, I'm enjoying getting out to these new tracks and getting new experiences, Josh.
Yeah, heck yeah. Getting to a new track, took the boys with you. Sounds like a good weekend to me.
That's right. So with those results there, for the Mod Lights, first place was Jake Bowman. Second was Carson Hubbard. And third place was Dalton Weisgarber. And then in your late models, Josh, there was only 11 cars that started this feature, which most of the state rained out. And I think the course late model race was Florence there for Lucas Oil. And me and the boys, actually, we was deciding which one to go to out of those two, but just with this being the closest is what we decided. So
there you go.
But yeah, 11 cars started your feature in the late models. Kyle Bond picked up your win. Ronnie Mayo in second, and Corey Delancey in third. For your modifieds, Jason Brennan picked up your win. Chris Basich in second, and third was Mike Fogan. Your sport mods, Isaac Dennis picked up your win. Donnie Danley in second, and Braxton Wilson round out the podium. In the four cylinders, we seen Jamie Harper pick up your win, Howard Rockins second, and Bailey Miller round out the podium. So, yeah, I don't think you've ever been there, Josh. It's over here by where I live, probably about an hour drive, so it wasn't too bad. Like I said, I plan to go back. I wish the weather was a little better throughout the week and stuff, and that way I could have really stoked it in. But yeah, I would advise you to get out there and try that, Josh. Yeah, Midway was a good time.
You any concessions there? Any concessions that you tried, or anything out of the ordinary?
Pulled pork. I wouldn't say out of the ordinary, but it was impressive. I did the pork. I had some cheese sticks, I think, for my side. One of the boys had a hot dog. They rated it a 10, man.
Oh man.
If they're rating it a 10, I mean, you got to trust it. And I forget what the other one had. I think it might have been a burger or something, but they know, and they know what they rated. And yeah, it was some good food, and I'll definitely be getting back to Midway Speedway.
Nice. So
we're going to move over to Mississippi Thunder Speedway for the Dairyland Showdown finale. 40,000 to win. The Reaper Ryan Gustin picked up your win. Bobby Pierce in second, and Jonathan Davenport in third. Out to Port Royal Speedway for the 410 sprints. Heck of a race up front, Josh. I don't know if you was able to catch some of this or what, but we've seen Brock Zierfoss pick up the win, Justin Whittle in second, and Ryan Smith in third.
Yeah, kind of torn in that one because, nice to see Brock Zierfoss get the win. Justin Whittle, unbeknownst to me, ran into him one night at like 2 a.m. walking around Eldora. I think he was walking his dog. chatted to him, but didn't realize who he was. So he was nice, so kind of secretly pulling for him just because I realized the next day when they were doing intros, like, oh, we were just talking to that guy last night. And Ryan Smith running the 69K. You got to kind of pull for them. Old Pappy over there running the gears for that 69K. So yeah, it was a good race up front there at Port Royal in the 410s.
Yep. And then we'll move over to Santa Maria Speedway for the NARC Sprint Cars, King of the West. The race was wild. A lot of beating and banging. That's what them California drivers do. My good example, look at the Macedos. I mean, they make a joke out of being the Mario Brothers, I guess. They make T-shirts out of it. But these guys, seriously, they do not care to be behind you and pull out the red turtle shell on you. I promise. And we've seen it with Carson with his own brother. And then we'll do an interview afterwards after knocking his nose off, and he'll be like, well, I hate to race my brother hard like that, but I don't know what happened to his wing. And yeah, man, I just feel like that's the way they do out there. And
I don't know. I was watching that, and I think when Carson's running with the Outlaws, he knows he's running for points, and you got to be aggressive to a point, right? But I think he also understands it's a long game. You got to play the long game. But I will tell you, when I was watching that race, I was like, the thought I had, whether this is right or not, I don't know. But the thought I had was like, Carson's in the 21. He's not racing for Outlaw points. He's just racing to win. And if somebody gets in his way, I feel sorry for him. Like, that was just the thought I had. No, whether that was, he was just racing with like, I don't care what happens, I'm going to go try to win. And I just feel like he was racing with a different mentality that night than he would have if he was running an Outlaw show.
I'm telling you, Josh, even in an Outlaw show, Carson Macedo will get the red turtle shell out on Cole Macedo. I'm telling you.
Hey, but at least we got to see Dominic Scelzi gets the win. I think it was on his birthday, and I think it was like 10 grand.
Yep.
So Dominic Scelzi, he gets the win there on his birthday, pockets $10,000 and survives Santa Maria. I saw it. You saw it. It was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining.
It was a good race. They put on a lot of good racing out there in California. But, Dominic Scelzi with the win on his birthday, Carson Macedo in second, Caleb Montgomery in third. We'll go over to Sweet Springs Motorsports Complex for the Power Ride Midgets. Jacob Denny with the win, Kel Drake in second, and Zach Weigel in third. Out to Texas Motor Speedway for the High Limit Series. Aaron Reitzel picked up the win, and I've seen this a lot of times when he's definitely dominating on good nights. His car is just too strong. I've even seen it there at Eldora, I think. The first night of Four Crown last year, he just dominated. Even the second night, I think he was really dominating and ended up getting into some trouble. When you see Aaron Reitzel running good like that, he's hard to beat.
Yeah. Corey Day was trying everything. I mean, at one point he would reel him in, and it was like in the turns, Day seemed faster and Reitzel seemed to lose a little bit there. But as soon as they made the exit out of the turn, Reitzel's car was a rocket ship.
Yep. So yeah, Aaron with your win there at Texas, Corey Day in second, and Kerry Matson round out your podium. Hank Davis with another strong finish in the top 5.
Yep, Hammer and Hank with a nice 5th place.
Coming up.
Yep.
We go out to Thunderhill for the USCS. Derek Hagar picked up your win. Cohen McDaniel in second, and Landon Britt round out your podium. We go to the class track Tri-State Speedway for the USAC Sprints. Mitchell Moles picked up your win. Jaden Rogers in second, and Kevin Thomas Jr. finished third. Did you catch that battle between the top two, Jaden and Mitchell Moles?
Yeah. It was a good chunk of the race, those guys, and they were sliding and they were clean slides. Like they had clearance to make good slides, and whoever got slid would cut under, and then they would come back, and then in the next turn they would snag the lead back on a slide. It was a good battle there, and that's a fun track. I definitely got to get over there. I saw Luke Griffith got over there and was hanging out with the dirt track and Rubrax fellas. Definitely need to get over there and check a race out.
We go over to Tyler County down there in West Virginia for the ULMS Earl Hill Topless 50. Mason Ziegler picked up your win. John Lee in second. Colton Burdett in third. Moving on to Sunday, May 3rd, BAP Speedway out there in Pennsylvania for the 410 Sprints. Chase Dietz picked up the victory. Danny Dietrich in second. And one of your Outlaws, not even having to use a freebie, went out and finished third, Logan Schuhart. West Virginia Motor Speedway for the American Late Model Ironman Series. Drake Troutman picks up your win. Luke Morey in second, and Fast Freddie Carpenter round out your podium.
Moving on to racing to come, we've got some Flow Racing Night in America this week. On Tuesday, May 5th, LaSalle Flow Racing Night in America. Lincoln Speedway in the Gettysburg Clash with the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Wednesday, May 6th, Spoon River and Flow Racing Night in America. Thursday, May 7th, Lincoln Speedway and Flow Racing Night in America. Hidden Hollow Speedway with the Schaefer's Oil Southern Nationals with super late models. Tri-State Speedway's got the second annual Red, White, and Blue Nationals with USMTS. Friday, May 8th, Attica is going to have AFCS 410s and 305s as well as super late models. Benton Speedway's got ASCS. Circle City with Crown Vics, Hornets, Super Stocks, and Modifieds. Davenport Speedway's got IRA Sprints. Farmer City in the Blagger Holdings Farmer City 74, $25,000 to win for Lucas Oil late models. Hartford Speedway's got GLSS. Hilltop is going to have late models, modifieds, mod lights, mini stocks, sport mods, and Crown Vics. I-96 is going to have GLTS, Kokomo, and then Driven to Save Lives, Brian Clausen Hero Classic Night 1 with High Limit and the All-Star Circuit of Champions in a co-sanctioned show there at Kokomo. Limeland's got UMP mods, Thunder stocks, the Midwest Thunder Midgets, and the Dirt Track Truck Series. Moeller's got late models, modifieds, compacts, U.S. Legends, All-Stars, and Crown Vics. Ohio Valley's got UMP mods, sport mods, 4 cylinders, WRA mini wedges, and the Gladiator 410 sprints, as well as super late models. Ponderosa with the Bradshaw Memorial for Schaefer's Oil Southern Nationals. Super late models. Raceway 7's got mods, mini stocks, late models, Sportman modifieds, and Econo modifieds. Salt City Raceway with USAC, Silver Crown, Tri-State, and the second night of the annual Red, White, and Blue Nationals with USMTS. And Williams Grove in night 1 of the Morgan Cup with the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars.
On Saturday, May 9th at Atomic Speedway for the Valvoline American Ironman Late Model Series, Gladiator 410 Sprints and Sport Mods. Boot Hill Speedway has the Sprinting Nationals, $30,000 to win for the factory stocks. Brownstown has super late models, super stocks, pure stocks, Hornets, and Crown Vics. Crystal Motor Speedway in Michigan has a GLLS. Fairbury has a fall shootout with the Lucas Oil late models. Florence has the Pro late models, sport mods, sport compacts, and legends. Fremont has the AFCS 410s 305s and the trucks. Goods Raceway has their weekly racing, Mom's Night plus quads. At Kokomo, the Driven to Save Lives, Brian Clausen Hero Classic, High Limit and Ace All-Star Circuit Champions. Lake Cumberland Speedway, Schaefer's Oil Southern Nationals for the late models. Lawrenceburg for the non-win 410s. American Sprint Car Tour Steel Block, Modifieds, Hornets, and Pro Stocks. Lincoln Park has 410 non-wings, Dirt Car UMP Modifieds, Super Stocks Bombers, and Midgets. Montpelier has Modifieds, Hornets, Super Stocks, and Street Stocks. Mud Lake Valley has late models, UMP Modifieds, your SCDRA 4-cylinders for 1,000 to win, and Crown Vics. Paducah Speedway there in Kentucky has the ASCS. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway has the Rush late models, Pro Stocks, Hobby Stocks, Young Guns, and Rush wingless sprints. Salt City Raceway has the 2026 USAC Silver Crown Salt City 100. Sharon Speedway up in Hartford, free admission for moms. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Yep.
You're going to see 410 sprints, B mods, Modifieds, and Crown Vics. Silver Dollar's going to have the NART out there out west. Sycamore Speedway with the IRA Sprints. The Class Track Tri-State Speedway for the second annual Red, White, and Blue Nationals. The USMTS Modifieds. And Williams Grove for the Morgan Cup finale for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars.
Yeah, the racing's picking up, as we've been saying. Any plans for you this weekend, EJ? It'll be a couple weeks at least for me before I'm able to get to the track. I'm hoping to get to Florence for some non-wing 410 sprint cars at the end of the month. You got any big plans coming up? I know next weekend you've probably got some plans, but what about this weekend?
Well, Josh, I'm thinking for this weekend, we're going to keep an eye on the weather, and right now it's not looking great. My first choice, I just want to get to some new tracks, man. So I got my eye on 35, I think. That's probably going to be my main one, but I'm probably going to end up somewhere. If they're racing here in Ohio, I'm going to end up somewhere. I'm going to end up at the track. And I just can't wait for that. And then, yeah, like you said, the week after, I'm going to get out to Eldora for Let's Race 2. I'm not going to get as fired up about that as I did last time because, you know, we've seen what happened. But I'm pretty fired up. I feel like Sheldon can come out here and get the job done. Knoxville is a track he has not been really too good at, and he just went out and had a good run. I know it's not against the national series, but he's out there racing against locals and people that's racing there every week. So, we're just, like I said, 35 is probably on my radar for this weekend. If not, I'm going to do something as long as everything don't race out. And I can't wait to get to Let's Race 2 at Eldora Speedway. And before we get off here, Josh, I always appreciate the opportunity, man. I'm treating this like a second job, and I just appreciate being able to come on here and talk racing with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I know you're thinking about catching a race this weekend, and I will say something I forgot. If the weather's good, Lima Land has the USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets and the Mike Stryker Memorial. I don't know how I forgot that when we were going through the rundown. I was thinking of it, though. Mike Stryker Memorial at Lima Land with the USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets. If you haven't been to Lima Land, very nice facility. Last year, I was there multiple times, and I will tell you, compared to the past, I was impressed, and I think that trend's going to continue. So that would be on my list if I had the opportunity it's just not in the cards for me.
Yeah, man. That's at the top of my list now. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, Josh. And like always, shout out to my sons, Ernest and Colson, for being the best Sheldon fans I know. And let's go, Sheldon Odd Shield.
There we go, everybody. This is Josh and EJ. Like, follow, subscribe, and share. We're on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Spotify. Thanks for the support, and we hope to see you guys at the track.